just over the last couple of years with COVID, we've had, limitations for crowds. We've had great crowds. They've been very impactful. I know that had we not had COVID, we probably would have had to do this. But we're sitting here now with Amber getting ready to play one of our last home games, and the kids never played in front of a top 25 crowd, which I don't think is acceptable. I think we should be able to get together. And for one game, I get it. Y'all know me. I've never had a call to action like this. This is the first. So I think we ought to be able to she ought to be able to say she played in front of a top 25 crowd. So Mario came up with the great idea of let's just not go for 25. Let's go for 23 for 23. I thought that was awesome. We'd love for it to be higher than that, but 23 is kind of our basement, which you said requires 6, 8, 8, 9. Is that right, Mario?
6,699.
6,699 to break it or to tie it?
That would be it to break it.
That would be it. So we don't need 6,698. If our people count that, I'll be pissed off at them. So we'll find a way to. I do want it to be real. I don't want it to be fabricated. But if we get within one, let's go pull somebody out and get them in there and let's break this thing for Amber. I think she obviously meant a lot to our program. I would have loved to have done it for the people in the past, but COVID kind of took that away from us, even the possibility with 4,400 being our limit. And it was awesome that we got to that limit twice. I know the challenges. I tried to encapsulate that in the letter, again, with a lot of help from Mario and Kevin to make it sound grammatically correct. I know y'all read it and thought he got some help with that. That's fine. I did. But that was how I felt in my heart. They just helped me say it a little bit better. I think she deserves it. So I'm going to do everything we can do in the next 11 days to make sure we have the opportunity to sense what the guys felt last night. I mean, it was an amazing atmosphere. There's no doubt it impacted the game, but more importantly, it impacted every kid and every past Razorback. You see how they're coming out on the social medias. It meant a lot to a lot of people. So just asking for one game. Hopefully we've given everybody enough advance. There's a lot of promotions going on around it. Mario and Elvis will be following up. There's a lot of, it's the Play for K game. There's lots of good reasons to be there other than Amber and our kids deserving it.
All right, we'll go ahead and switch gears. Coach, you want to talk a little bit about Auburn coming here on Thursday night?
Best 1-9 team in any conference in the country. Got a win over, their one win is over Tennessee. They've played a lot of other really good teams really close within a possession or two. Johnny's doing an unbelievable job. Johnny's got ties here as well. We were on the same staff with Coach Gardner for a little while. I've known Johnny for a long time. She's deserved her shot, and she's doing a great job. The record is not indicative of how good they are playing, of the job that she and her staff are doing. They present us with lots of challenges, and it'll be like I said, it's the best one. And don't let the record fool you with those guys.
Paul.
Well, to kind of follow up on that, the way they defensively, the amount of pressure they put on you, how big a deal is that, especially being without Michaela? And can you give us a little report on her?
Start with the Michaela part. She's making progress every day. Don't anticipate her tomorrow night, but she's looking better and better, giving us a lot of encouragement that it'll be sooner than later. But I don't expect it. I've learned not to ever know who's showing up until the day of with where we're at these days. So, but she is making good progress, but I'm not got her in the game plan. Then the defense presents a number of challenges because we thrive on taking care of the ball. With that's where we offset rebounding. That's how we get enough shots to win. And so we'll have to take care of it. Obviously Johnny's years with Vic and her years with of her own watching, and now she got Coach Starkey with her. They create a really lethal combination of experience with coaching on the defensive side of the ball, and they're obviously playing really hard for. The numbers speak for themselves, but when you watch them on film, it just jumps out at you. So they've always been a pressure team, even when Terry was there, but they did it with a different way. But this is going to be man to man. They're going to actively be trying to take it from us. When we're dribbling, and then when we pass it, they'll be running through passing lanes. They're really, when you watch them, you can tell it's something that's very important to them. You can tell they chart deflections. You can tell they're trying to take charges. It's things they drill. It's things they work on. So our ability to take care of it and then, finish, not only take care of it, but then create a great shot. If you look at their numbers, field goal percentage defense is last in the SEC, but they take it from you so much. So those can kind of be offsetting when you look at their points off turnovers. If you can take care of it, you're going to get a good shot. If you don't take care of it, you don't get any shots. So in our drills, the last couple of days, we've had a lot of time to prepare for these guys. So our drills, anytime we turn the ball over, it's 0 points for that possession. It doesn't matter what you did. If you made great cuts and took a great shot, sometimes we reward you for that. Not this week. You got to finish against these guys.
Russell.
How's practice been this week? You feel like they've gotten their legs back underneath them?
I gave them 3 days off. After the Texas A&M game, in conjunction with the Monday game, the Monday, Thursday quick turnaround, and then we stayed overnight at A&M. We were spent. And I felt like the time off, especially knowing what we have on the horizon. When you look at the next possible calendar month, including the SEC tournament, it's a professional type schedule. It's play, rest, play. There's no 3-day preps, and there's a bunch of 2-day preps. So I felt like where we were at, health-wise, physically and mentally, the time off would be important for a lot of reasons. So we took the 3 days off. So the first day back was a little choppy. Practice was a little choppy. It was, out for 3 days. So we went at it not very long, but short. Yesterday, because of the early tip with the men's game, I felt it was really important for our kids to be able to experience that atmosphere. So we went out and threw out food from all the local vendors that were supporting the kids that were standing in line. We did that for about 30 minutes of practice. Ended up being about 45 because they took pictures and had, asking the people to come to games for our games, which that I know the students will show up for as a result of that. So we got a little bit of a late start. Then we had to knock off a little bit early. That's our heavy class day, and they had to be in line to get in for the game at 4:30. So we again practiced short yesterday, but good. We've got limited numbers, so you really don't have to practice very long with limited numbers. You get tired pretty quick. So we had a good day yesterday, really good day. Today will be a little bit longer than the normal day would be, but we'll have a full shoot around tomorrow as well. So it's been a good last week since A&M, but it's been a little choppy, admittedly, just because of coming back off the break and then making sure they had a chance to experience that atmosphere that was yesterday. We'll be ready. This group, it's February. It doesn't take them a long time to get prepared. They don't need a lot of reps. Rest right now is more important than anything that we're doing.
Did this break help Erin Barnum a lot with her just getting back to 100% and getting those minutes under her where she can play a few more minutes?
I hope so. And I had a really good conversation with Erin. She's such a competitor. Her mind is telling her she's back, but the knee's not there. I mean, we got her back earlier than probably anybody would have expected. We were hopeful to get her back by the Tennessee game. It ended up being a few games earlier than that. So I would tell you, yes, the time helped, but it's just going to take in-game experience, in-game minutes again. We're hopeful that by the SEC tournament, she'll be back to, where she was at. And I think she's in her mind trying to rush a little bit. So we've just told her to slow down, let it come to you. And I do think the reps in practice have helped this week. And we need her. We're going to really need her. This next series of games, our last 7 games are all games I feel like she can really have a great impact on. So just getting her confidence back more than anything, because she was playing at such a high level. And if you've ever been through an injury like that, your mind thinks you can still make that same spin move. Now it's getting blocked, and it creates frustration. But we've hopefully tried to alleviate that. Her teammates have been great with her. We definitely need, her punch around the basket offensively and defensively.
Alyssa.
Hey, Coach, I want to follow back up just with your relationship with Johnny. Obviously, she was at UAFS for a while with you here from Pine Bluff. I mean, it's going to be important for her coming back to her home state, but then also she's put in the work. I mean, she deserved a head coaching job in this
Yeah.
league, and she's doing it right now.
Yeah, everybody that knows Johnny, she's way more giving than she is asking and demanding. She could have had other jobs, but she was, when you work with Coach Blair and around Vic and people that I think, took their time to make sure they got the right job, you see how that works. You have to take a job that you can do. And I think she's found one. She found people that believed in her, and they believe in. So, if you've ever been around Johnny, you know how much her players care for her. And that's obviously showing right now. So yeah, she'll have all kinds, she'll have a big pass list. And it's great. I think it's fun. I hate playing against people, but it's fun to see them and enjoy those atmospheres when they come in here. And she has done an unbelievable job, getting Aisha Koulibaly. I would vote for him for the most improved player in the country, not just in the SEC. This is a kid who, her numbers have really flourished. Her confidence is obvious. She plays with a confidence and plays with a freedom. And I would tell you, she is used by her team more than anybody that we've played so far all year long. They move her in great spots. They get her in great spots to be successful. And it's obvious that Johnny's stamp is not only on their entire team, but really on Koulibaly.
I want to ask you about Riley. You talk about her so much about what she brings on the court, but more specifically off the court. She's a pre-med major, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
Pre-med.
And like number one in her class.
I mean, it's just unbelievable watching her and what she's doing, but I know a lot of it has to do with the alopecia and wanting to give back and working with kids. What can you say about Riley off the court?
If JC and I end up having another child and it's a daughter, I want him to grow up to be a combination of my older daughter, Abby, and Riley. Mm-hmm. She's just a great example of hard work, of doing it the right way, of being just balanced. This kid, she tries just as hard in, I can't even pronounce some of the names of her classes, as she does, trying to get that extra loose ball. Then you see her after the game taking these pictures with kids who are suffering from the same thing that she suffered through. And it just melts your heart. It just absolutely, her day is so full. I cannot imagine what her calendar, she doesn't really keep one, but like what her day-to-day, hour-to-hour day must feel like. The requirements. She attacks the classroom just as hard as she does the basketball court. And everybody knows how hard that is. There were some people on social media that took a shot at her, and I went angry papa for about 20 minutes. And I had a reply composed about, how I felt, how it made me feel. And I talked to Riley. I said, she goes, Coach, don't worry about it. She goes, that just gives that person more, and I'm good with it. And that just makes you want to just hug her even tighter. But then, she goes out, we've got so many kids that suffer from alopecia that she's already helping. There's some talks when Jordan gets here on the men's side, they're going to do some things together. So I can't say enough about her, but the words that I do say don't really capture how awesome of a kid she is. We knew that from the time we saw her, the number of times we saw her, but saw her play. And just the times I've had people ask me, is she okay? Is her sickness in remission? I said, yep, she's good. She's in, and she just takes it. And it's an unbelievable story that is just really getting started. I think she's got a lot more chapters to write.
Thank you.
Yep.
Also a business minor, just for your notes.
Yeah, because she wants to not only do it, she wants to run the business side of it.
Brett.
Incredible.
Yeah. And Mike, did you have any video of your players out there handing out food yesterday? Was there anybody recording anything?
Yeah, Mario's got some. Okay. I think, don't you, Mario? There was a bunch kind of.
Yep. I'll get it to you.
Yeah,
yep.
There's some stuff out there. And again, it was going to go over there for about, it was right about the time the start of our practice. Hey, let's take 15 minutes. It ended up being 45, and it was the best thing we could have done.
All right, we'll get that on the telecast tomorrow. We just got done visiting with Johnny, and I said, "What was a young Mike Neighbors like?"
Yeah.
And she said, "Well, he has this encyclopedic knowledge of," and she paused and she said, "everything." So I thought she nailed that one. One more question about Michaela, Mike. It felt like there were times the other day where maybe your players were waiting for somebody to score. Not only does she run the offense, she's a big part of your scoring. So how do you get past that when she's not there, when you need a basket and everybody's kind of waiting for her, but she's sitting over on the bench?
By times, do you mean the whole game? That's kind of, I mean,
There
you
were
were
some
being
chunks.
nice
There were
there.
some sizable chunks.
Yeah. And I don't know if it was just scoring, but it was everything. I mean, it happened so fast in the Tennessee game that you didn't really have time to process it. That, hey, we're just got to keep playing. But then you have that week, those days off in between where you're going, okay, now we know Mac is not playing. And it changed everybody's roles. And I think Sam did an absolutely amazing job doing it. But then it took her ability to be who she's always been all year away. So it was hard. It's no fun having her set over there. She's talking the entire game, so you know what she's seeing and you know what she would be doing if she was out there. But she still continued to impact. She was positive. She was always in every player's ear during the timeouts. So she was still finding a way to contribute. But when an injury like that happens so late in the year, it magnifies or amplifies the impact because you are so far set in your ways. Your rotations are set. I mean, it affected, like I literally one time looked down to sub and I called the person's name. That person was already in the game. I was like, hey, get Riley. And they're like, Coach Riley's been in. In fact, she hadn't been out. She needs a sub. So, it just causes a trickle down of an adjustment for all of us, especially when it's somebody who has literally started every game since she's been here, has gotten to where she's thinking the things you're thinking before you say them out loud. That's probably the hardest thing to replace is what she's seeing. As good as Sam has been and has played, she's still only got 22 or 23 games experience. And you can't replace that at this level in this league. Paul's been covering it for a long time. A lot of it, Randy's seen this a long time. This is as deep as the SEC's been probably in 20 years. There was a period back there where there were, I think Charlie Cream has now mentioned 12 of our 14 teams as possible tournament teams at some point in time during the year. Some people have come and gone, but 12 of the 14, all 14 teams are in the top 100 in the net. 10 are in the top 50. It's just absurd. So not only are our freshmen doing it, they're doing it probably the hardest time in a long time. Maybe not ever, but in a long, long time. A lot of that has to do with COVID. We've got a lot of teams that have got super seniors and a veteran team. So that has been part of that impact. But getting Mac back whenever that is will obviously change us back again. But we hope that happens in enough time for us to be ready to head into the SEC tournament.
Randy.
Mike, you were talking about the physical aspect coming off of those two games, being able to come back from the physical aspect. What about the mental aspect? How important was that?
If I could figure that part of it out, I'd probably get out of coaching. That's the hard part, Randy, because not knowing that when you process, being on the road at Tennessee and playing an overtime game that's a one possession game, and then a quick turnaround in those circumstances that we've been talking about. It's harder mentally than it is physically. The physical part they bounce back from. They get their legs under them. They get rehab. They get prehab. They get all that stuff that our athletic trainers do. But that other side that you're talking about, it takes a lot of people. And it takes a lot of self-confidence. You can't give confidence to kids anymore. It has to be earned. You can't just talk confidence these days into players. We used to, or my coach is good when they made me feel so much better than I was. And I believed it because there wasn't a lot to compare it to. these days, these kids, there's so many different influences on them that the mental side to me is more draining than what we do physically. I really believe that. Who was it Yogi Berra that said the game is 90% mental and 60% physical or something that didn't add up to 100. I know, whatever his quote was. I would tell you, I think it's completely flipped the opposite. It's way higher percentage mental than it is physical these days. The physical attributes have probably gone closer together. And then I think what separates kids these days is their ability to handle it mentally. How to handle, again, we're in a sport that obviously has nothing but winners and losers every night. There's no ties. There's no, just compare, I look at all these other sports, how they compare scores. Ours is a little different, and for them to handle it the way they do, I think it's more exhausting mentally than physically. So you try to make sure that the physicalness of a practice and their physical limitations are met so that they can spend all of their energy handling it on the mental side.
And speaking of mental, talk about the situation where you had the 45 minutes before the men's game yesterday. What lessons do you want those kids to pick up from not only that 45 minutes before the game, but able to watch the game, whether in person or otherwise? What takeaways do you want the kids to have from that experience yesterday?
Just to see that how our guys rose to the occasion. You can have a great crowd and play bad and not do what they did. They stuck together. Their huddles were really tight because they had to be tight to hear each other. I wanted them to watch the bench and see the reactions from the players that weren't playing and how they celebrated every basket. Just how they continued to communicate. And it was obviously an Auburn team that was is number one in the country and very, very confident. I wanted them to watch how our players, our team, went about knowing that they were, unjustifiably unranked. I think they should have been ranked a long time ago, but taking that and watching that opponent down there and then turning that into positive energy. I thought it was amazing all the way through from tip till that last buzzer. Did they count that basket, by the way? I never did. They should it have counted? I didn't know. It was late. Okay.
I saw 0.1, 0.1.
Okay.
I just could have counted. You could have counted.
I just know it had some great pictures as a result of it. Was and then I wanted to see how they handle, game situations. We've been in some game situations with where we've been in a one possession game inside a minute, and they got to stop when they needed it on the last couple possessions. They made free throws down the stretch. So that was the game part. As far as going out and seeing the student body, I felt like it was, if we're going to be, because I knew we've been working on this for a couple of weeks with Mario and this 23 for 23, but we thought it'd be to save it for after the men's game. We didn't want to take away from that at all. But they were all out there as they were handing them out saying, hey, thanks for coming out and supporting our men. We play next. We play tomorrow night, but we really want you to come to this Kentucky game. And you could see them. They didn't want to leave. Our kids wanted to make sure the people in the back of the line got the sandwich just like the people in the front of the line did. They ruined their shoes. This is the most amazing thing. It was so wet from all the snow melt over there. We had kids that were wearing shoes that they normally what we call concrete only shoes that look, I've got mine right here. Mine are Roach. These were brand new yesterday. And you can just see the mud and the muck and they're gone. But they had concrete only shoes out there traipsing through that snow melt and muck. And yeah, could we have been practicing for that 30 minutes extra? We could have, but I don't think it would have had the value of going out there. Jordan Weaver was with us. Hunter was with us. People from Sassy's were out there. So I don't know. I think if I would have kept them over here, holed up in the gym and saying, we can't go because we got to practice for Auburn, I just don't think that's the right way to do it.
Jonathan.
Coach, going back to Samara, she had a 20-point game against Texas A&M. From an outsider's perspective, it really feels like her her growth has really accelerated in the wake of Michaela's injury. Do you feel the same way? And what have you seen from her since Michaela went down?
That she, again, the only way we're referring her to as a freshman is her graduate, how many hours she has in school. She's beyond that in basketball. She got more vocal because she had to. She asked, she's always asked great questions. Stayed and works on her free throws. She's really putting too much pressure on herself at the foul line right now. I told her to get out, stop working. It's nothing to do technical. It's between your ears. You can work on that later. It's not your form. So you just see a sense of ownership in her. These with knowing, while Mac is out, she has to do that for us. And asking her to be a little bit more assertive. That's the hard part is I think she's done an amazing job of fitting in and doing what was needed. But now, like I've had to say, hey, that was 2 weeks ago. I might have said you could have gotten a better shot. You got to let that one fly tomorrow night because we might not get a better one at this point. So, but we had one film now. We had that A&M film to learn from it. It was the first time she had played 40 minutes. So I've got to really monitor her reps in practice because she did get tired. But that's another growth opportunity for her. And, when we all came together after talking to Amber and knowing that we were going to play as many young new players as we did, we knew that growth moments this year were going to be very, very impactful for us next year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the line. So the delayed gratification we'll start to see. I just want to make sure we always worry with young people, don't put them in situations they're not ready for. I don't think there's a situation Sam's not ready for. She's up to the task. So I think you'll see her continue to get a little bit more assertive offensively, look for her shot a little bit more. We're running some actions toward her a little bit. So I think you'll start to see that a little bit, even as Mac starts to work her way back, because I can assure you Mac won't be 100% when she walks up to me and tells me she's ready to play. It'll be some version, but I think you'll see, Sam use this opportunity to grow, but then when Mac's back full, I think you'll see her slide seamlessly back into that role that she's been in without any notice.
Porter.
Coach, seeing what's on the seeing what's on the horizon with the schedule coming up, I mean, just how important was it to have that week off and not have that Sunday game to get you prepared for what's coming up?
Good question. I think Coach on that with what Randy said. I do think it was more of the mental thing than the physical thing. The physical nature was nice to not have the banging that is required in an SEC game. I don't know that we'll know the importance until after it's all said and done. I think we'll look back at the end of the year and be able to evaluate it. But I can tell you this, I don't think we would have been as good had we not had that bye in there. I think it worked out great. I think we made the right decision to put the Ole Miss game where we did. If we would have played that Ole Miss game on that particular day, I don't know that we'd have had that in the tank. So it's already, basketball is a challenging calendar sport to play because of you overlap 2 years. We've always talked about how we miss a lot of the good holidays, but February is kind of separation month. That to me is when the races start to, you start looking at who still has who left to play and, where you can start. You can start kind of predicting some things about tournament seeding, probably this time next week for sure. So I thought mentally it was really good for us just to take a step back, thus the days off. I know if we'd have practiced, it wouldn't have felt like a break. So we shut the gym. I didn't even let them come into the gym on Friday. And then we only did small shooting groups on Saturday and Sunday if they wanted to do anything extra, which a few people, that's just their routine and what they do. But I think we're going to look back on it and think that it was a massively important time for the kids to mentally recover.
I'll follow up with, how does it feel to make it through this ice storm without another viral slip up?
I learned my lesson. I took very good precaution to make sure every step I took on that driveway was either ginger or that the camera was off. I made sure that was blocked up so at least we wouldn't go viral. I can tell you this, I wouldn't have survived it near this year as good as other. I've got a little extra padding on the side, but I probably would have had a baby in my arms instead of a cell phone. So that would not have been good, but glad we got through it and without mishap and anything major happening.
The big game is finally here as we hit Super Sunday with the last game of the football season. From scored, totals, player performance props, to where the next fired coach is going to land, BetOnline is the #1 spot for all things NFL betting in 2022. And with the new year comes a new updated desktop and mobile website. Sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code BELIEVE to get started. That's BLEAV. And it's not just football. BetOnline's basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC odds coverage is the best in the business. From sports right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, BetOnline is your #1 online wagering destination. BetOnline, the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports and play your favorite games. BetOnline, where the game starts.